In the book, you also talk a little bit about behavioral science, making sure that you have a good plan for the long term, the table stakes for managing money. But one of the things that really stood out to me in a recent interview you had with Ryan Rosilio, which, by the way, that was fantastic. What a change up on that
Oh,
podcast.
thank you.
You
Thank you.
said,
Thank
we are
you.
in an age where every day something unprecedented happens. Josh, when you and I started in the 90s, there was no social media. We didn't have to worry about the term clickbait, didn't even exist. And so our clients weren't being
You got
fed this.
licensed. You said you got licensed in '97.
I believe the
You got
same
your
time
Series
you did,
7.
right?
Where? Yeah. Where? Where were you working at the time?
Dean Witter. Do you remember them?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For
Where'd you
sure.
start?
I wasn't quite so lucky. I started at a firm that 2 weeks before I started there, they had a lawsuit settle, the biggest sexual harassment lawsuit of all time. I had no idea it was going on, and I walked in 2 weeks after they settled. Like they were in the newspaper, and the reason I started there was my dad played golf with like one of the brokers who was like a big shot there, and I wish I could say the place got better, but I really it was kind of a pirate ship, but I did fall in love with the stock market while I was there. So, but I got Series 7 licensed, and you know, you're right. In the late '90s, there was no internet, there were no cell phones. Don't tell anyone, but that's true too. Like there was no email, right? If you sent an email as an NASD registered broker, I think you could go to jail,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
And it didn't matter because none of your clients were sending emails because that just wasn't a thing. So you communicated by phone or like in-person meeting, and basically there were no online discount brokerages. That was just in its infancy. There was like there was already Schwab and Fidelity and Waterhouse and Brown. Brown, what was it called?
Brown
Something.
Brothers
Uh,
Harriman. Is that it?
Oldie. Yeah, yeah. Oldie was another one. So there were discount brokerages, but those were like 1-800 numbers. So the point that I'm trying to make is if people wanted to be invested, they had to talk to a broker. They had to go through a broker. Maybe it was somebody at Merrill Lynch, or maybe it was me, or maybe it was you, but like we were the connection between the public and the stock market. And we kind of controlled the information that people heard. There was Barron's, Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Fortune, but like clients listened to us because they didn't have a phone sending them headlines all day. So it's a little bit easier to manage like your client's perception of what was happening in the market back then. Now it's you know now it's like we're drowning in a sea of noise, and everybody says I'm going to help you cut through the noise. The people that say that are probably the biggest contributors to the noise. So maybe I'm part of that. So like it's very different today than back then.
Yeah. You have any advice for advisors trying to deal with that with their clients, handle it, manage the expectations? I mean, giving your platform, it has to be something that you run across.
You can't get mad at it. You have to have a good sense of humor. And you have to understand enough about what people you can't tune this idea that you're gonna like, oh, tune it all out. Oh, really? And then your client asks you a question about something that happened that morning, and I'm tuning out the noise. Because the thing is that you don't know what's going to be important until later.
That's right.
So like 10 things might be happening right now, and 9 of them fade away, and one of them lingers and becomes like a huge issue, and you don't know which of those. So it's really important to stay informed. And to stay informed, you have to consume a lot of news, and you have to just be open-minded. Things change. You're going to have this gut reaction like, oh, that's wrong. It should be this way. And then like time goes by and you realize, oh, wait, maybe the world actually has changed and things aren't going to be that way anymore. So you have to be like open-minded, have a sense of humor. You have somebody asked me like, all right, so you're telling your clients tune out the noise, blah, blah, blah. But then you're like on CNBC and you're talking about headlines that happen pretty much every day. And I explained, if you saw the first Avengers, there's this like back and forth between Tony Stark and Bruce Banner about like Tony Stark's teasing Bruce Banner to get him to Hulk out. Like how do I get you to freak out? Why aren't you freaking out? And Bruce Banner seems to have it under control. And it's frustrating to Tony Stark because, for fun, he wants to. And finally, he's like, Bruce Banner says, all right, you want to know my secret? You want to like how I keep from Hulk like raging? My secret is I'm always mad. Okay. My secret is I am always consuming the news. So there's like literally nothing that could happen that's going to provoke a reaction in me. Cuz I have not tuning out. I went the other way. Prolonged exposure to every bullshit thing that everyone says, morning, noon, and night. I swim in it. You understand? I sleep with it. So it's much easier for me to understand. All right, why is everyone talking about this? I kind of like, I'm behind the scenes. I know this TV producer read this article in this publication or saw this smart ass tweeting about it, and they came up with a segment, and they did the segment, and now all the other media companies, they want to have their own version or twist on that story. And I kind of like understand how that all happens and takes place and how it eventually fades away. So I can't get provoked to do stupid things with my portfolio from anything happening in the headlines because I know too much. And it's a Bruce Banner thing. Like, my secret is I always pay attention.
Yeah. And I like that framework. You are swimming in it. In fact,
I don't know. Were you looking for 20-minute answers? I don't really know how the format of the show.